Okay, so I've got it in the sport mode. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing the all-new BMW i4 eDrive40. First and foremost, though, a huge shout out and thank you to the BMW of Pleasant Grove, Utah for giving me some time with this i4. This one is available for sale for the time being, so if you're interested, I'll include a link to their inventory in the description down below. If you need any help whatsoever, just ask to work with Brendan. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. With the eDrive40, we have a single electric motor producing 335 horsepower and then 317 pound-feet of torque. It is paired to an 83.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which means that this has 282 miles of range. If you guys are wondering, the 0 to 60 time is 5.5 seconds. Before we go over the front end of the i4, I do want to mention, if you see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting with the hood here, you guys can see you've got distinctive lines on either side of the hood. Other than that, it's just, pretty muscular looking. Now down below, you guys can see we've got these signature BMW daytime running lights, and then we do have LED headlights as well. And then notice that you've got all that grille accent that's all blacked out, but obviously this is fully electric, so it's all closed off. It's just for show. You do have that little I logo there off to the side. However, I do think this still looks good with the front end. And when you pull it all together, the contrast between the blacked out elements and the body painted elements, I think they look cool. Coming on the side here, our tire wheel setup is 245/40/19 in the front and then 255/40/19 in the rear. And then as for the wheel design, pretty simplistic. You've got like the silver there on the top and then the black below it. I think it looks really cool. I do love the red painted brake caliper. Now this does have adaptive M suspension and variable sport steering as well. Now looking at the side profile here, you notice you've got that little accent piece there. The door handles are flush with the bodywork, and then all the trim around the windows is blacked out, but it looks like a regular car. Now here's a key fob for the i4. It's just a regular BMW key fob with the M colors. You got your unlock, your lock function, and the opening here for the hatch. Once we're inside here, you guys can see storage space is absolutely fantastic, and well, that's because it's a hatchback instead of a regular sedan, so obviously the opening is massive. Notice we actually have a cargo cover already built in, and then this is the charging cable you have set with it. If you do get one of these, I do recommend that you upgrade your household outlets to 240s. And then underneath the loading floor, we've got stuff for the sound system and then, extra storage space. When you're done with the rear, you can lock it or just press that and that'll lower the hatch right back down. I love the style of taillights we have here on the i4, and you guys can see illuminated. They definitely look really cool. Pretty normal badging here on the back, as you can see. And then we have this low profile spoiler as well, and then parking sensors there at the bottom. Once you take it all in together, again, this just looks like a normal car from the rear end. Obviously there's no exhaust tips poking out, but it's cool. With the rear door panel, we've got this really nice silver trim here, and then we got some speakers for the Harman Kardon sound system, and then red leather with the contrast stitching, and they do have some storage space at the bottom. And yes, the red leather continues with these seats. Notice the stitching design all down the center portion of the seats. The rear passengers do get some vents. They have their own climate controls, some USB ports, and there are little nets here on the backs of the seats. Legroom in the back of the i4 is decent. Headroom's pretty good, and you guys can tell it's windy today. And of course, this has the hallowed cup holder armrest. That was kind of dramatic. I love it. With the front door panel, we've got that silver trim yet again, and then you've got the red leather with the white stitching. Memory seats, we've got all of our window controls, and then the mirrors do power fold, and you've got your mirror adjustments in that section. And then I love the door handle on this. More speakers for the Harman Kardon sound system. The mirrors do have blind spot monitoring, and that's just a button to open up the hatch. With the front seat, as you can see, again, more of that red leather. Bolstering slightly more aggressive here at the front seat. And then here are all of the power adjustments. And you can even adjust the bolsters on the side. And then notice we got our little M logo right there. I love the pedal setup. And then you guys saw earlier with the double pull for the hood release. And then we've got all of our light controls in this section. Then look at the vents. Really nice leather trim all around the steering wheel. We've got the heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel itself, and then even the airbag cover has nice stitching and leather trim. You've got practical controls for voice command controls, phone controls. You've got your cruise control here on the other side. And then of course we have our turn signal stalk and our windshield wiper stalk. Full digital gauge cluster here. There are important bits of information on the screen, so you guys can see like the current range based on your driving, and then you can see the charge over there on the other side. We're at 90% right now. But the fun party trick is when you change the drive modes, it will change the whole look of the screen itself, which is pretty cool. That's comfort mode. The first one I change into is Eco, Pro, and then we've got sport mode. And speaking of drive modes, they also pop up here on the center screen. Notice there's multiple sport modes. There's a sport, and then there's a sport individual. And then with comfort, well, there's just a comfort mode. And then Eco Pro, there's an Eco Pro and an Eco Pro individual. So at least you can customize those two. We've got a backup camera here, and remember, this does have parking sensors. And by the way, the trajectory lines do turn with the steering wheel. As for the rest of the infotainment system, first off, response time with the screen is actually pretty solid. It does take a second for certain tabs to load up, but in terms of like response when you press the buttons, it's actually pretty dang quick. It's really intuitive because you got that shortcut bar there on the side, and then you can just go into the different menus. And I mean, you can see this literally has stuff for everything. I love how you have like a tab for doors and windows here. Like it's got everything, which is interesting. And then notice you can also control the climate controls here with the infotainment system. I have it just set to auto right now, 70 degrees, so it's just doing everything for me, and it's connected to the gauge cluster. The dash has pretty interesting trim that goes all across. I do like the overall design though with all of the vents. We've got some analog functions for like the radio, for example. That's like your volume control, and then stuff for the climate. And then we have this little tab right here that covers up the wireless phone charging pad, and then a couple of cup holders and USB and a 12 volt. Now here in the center, we have our control for the infotainment system. If you don't want to use the touchscreen, you can use this dial, and then you've got a bunch of shortcut buttons for different menus within the screen. And then we do have our shifter to get it into gear, just normal BMW shifter. Stability control, that's for your parking sensors, your stop start button, and then all of your drive modes, auto hold, and then parking brake. More red leather here on our center console. Storage space is pretty good, got more USBs inside. And then we do have our glove box, again, also pretty normal. So up top, we obviously have light controls, but we also have controls for the sunroof. This does have kind of like a middle of the line sunroof because it's bigger than like a regular one, but it's not quite a panoramic. So here's our window sticker for this i4. Base MSRP $55,900. Total MSRP $66,320. And then we have a 4-year 50,000 mile new vehicle warranty, 8-year 100,000 mile on the battery. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood, and hopefully you can now see the heads-up display that you also get with this. Blind spot monitoring, both the mirrors. And then there's your visibility throughout the rest of the rear. Let's set off. Oh, setting off in the i4, and do you smell that? It smells like farts for... Oh, we got some Teslas here. Yeah, those Teslas always... Yeah, those fart sniffers, they just can't help themselves. But anyways, let's actually set off here in the electric car that you should buy. So I'm just in the regular D drive mode, but if I pop it over into B, it gets really aggressive with the regen. So it's basically one pedal drive, which is great because then that means that you're going to conserve more battery. And I actually lived with an i4 M50 for a week, and I can tell you that I was getting close to 300 miles of range, and the EPA rating on that was like 227 or something like that. And so if the EPA rating on this is like 282, that means you're probably gonna be able to get over 300 miles of range, as long as you're not flooring it all the time. Because yeah, if you're flooring it all the time, then, well, that's probably not going to happen. Now, the thing that's pretty interesting is this is driving surprisingly similar to the M50 so far. When you're just like driving it around like a normal, sane human being, I'm sure there's going to be a big difference with the acceleration because this is rear-wheel drive instead of all-wheel drive and has significantly less power. But you know, some key benefits of the i4 is with BMW's new seats, they're actually really comfortable. They got decent bolsters, so they hold you in place pretty well. They just have heated function. There is no AC function with this. I think it's interesting that luxury car manufacturers don't just have AC seats as like standard. Like I think that at this point, with the fact that we can get like $30,000 Kias with heated and cooled seats, we should be able to get BMWs, Audis, and Mercedes, you know, with heated and cooled seats as standard. But yeah, the suspension is really good. That's the thing that I love about the modern BMWs is they used to be a little bit too harsh in the past, but now they're actually really comfortable. So it does feel like a luxury car, but it still handles amazingly well. It still has, you know, BMW driving dynamics. And yeah, going over this, you guys can really see just plop. It does well with the suspension. Yeah, that regen's so aggressive, so like coming up to the stop sign, I probably won't have to use... Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a little bit of juice again. Yeah, I don't have to use my brakes at all, which is cool. Okay, so I've got it in the sport mode. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty solid. It's not like, again, it's not anywhere near the M50, but it still gives me a head rush. Still makes the cool sounds too. I love that sound so much because it just sounds like a spaceship. Gonna pop back into comfort. It'll tone down with the noises. Apparently for 2023, the crazy sounds are now like part of their own like individual optional package, which is strange to me. You think it would just be standard with the car, but I guess, yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what some of these automakers are doing nowadays, but anyways, it's not like insanely fast, but I mean, when you compare it to like, you know, most, I would say luxury cars with like 4-cylinder engines, this gets up and moves at a really substantial pace. So summing things up here with the i4 eDrive40. I really like this. So just like the regular, well, not the regular, but the M50 that I lived with for a week, still looks great on the outside. I love the interior. BMW's new interiors are definitely top notch. Like build quality is amazing. And yeah, it's just nice. It still drives like a BMW. Like I'm in normal mode right there. But we'll use this roundabout as kind of like an example. Like you still have the normal, like look at this, you can hustle it. And it just still drives like a BMW. It's great. The only thing that I have to say is I'm just not fond of these rear-wheel drive electric cars. I think they definitely have a place if you're like trying to, I guess, hypermile and all that. But like here in Utah, like it snows half the year, so it doesn't really make too much sense. And the acceleration isn't really crazy unless you do like a dual motor setup. You just do a single electric motor. Again, that's great for like economy electric car, but you know, in terms of performance, you definitely want a dual setup. But I still think this is cool, and I think that for someone in California or something like that, that, you know, just again wants to have the best possible range and have, you know, the BMW, you know, styling and handling and all that, this would be a great vehicle. So if you live in California and you don't want to pay over MSRP for a BMW, just come and buy this one from Brendan instead of going to your local BMW dealerships that want probably like 20-30 grand over sticker. Just saying. That's it. Something's up with our video on this i4. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the BMW of Pleasant Grove, Utah for giving me some time with this i4. Check out the inventory in the description down below. Ask for Brendan if you need any help. I'll see ya.